Star from Reset Revolution. Welcome to this episode where we'll be having Tatsuki Nakata from Japan to discuss about food justice and the complicated impacts food waste may have on society and the environment. So we will be waiting for Tatsuki. He is a food justice researcher at the moment, and he has studied food justice and food politics in France. So, yes. Just to kind of reintroduce ourselves, we are Reset Revolution. We are a group of international students who discuss about justice issues in the world. So, Tatsuki's over here. Hello, Tatsuki.
Hello.
Hi. So, to kick off our interview, can you firstly start off by introducing yourself and maybe a little bit more focus on what you've studied in your master's and what you're planning to do in the future?
Okay. So, firstly, thank you for having me, Sarah. And hi, my name is everyone. My name is Tatsuki. I've graduated University in Kyoto 2018, and I went to France. And 1 year I took gap year, and 1 year I studied. And since 2019, I studied what I'm studying and researching currently, and the university which is located in north of France, Lille. And I'm studying food politics and sustainable development, and it's very, very, very interesting what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've introduced you as a food justice researcher in like our introduction post, and
Okay, so in this course, I'm focusing on the food crisis, environmental issues, and human rights in terms of the sector of agriculture, and because it's not fair at all, right? So developing developing country, we have such a gap. So that's why I focus on human rights and food crisis and the food waste and food loss internationally. And my specific research is based on Japan. And my thesis, I think, I don't know it's published yet, but I already submitted my research and dissertation regarding how to tackle and how to stimulate consumer awareness and the behavior and toward more sustainable in Japan. Yeah.
It is definitely a very important issue to tackle in Japan, and that was kind of how I wanted to bring in the next question, which is could you give us an insight on the situation surrounding with issues surrounding food waste?
Okay, yeah. Okay, for example, like if a third of the money in your bank account is depressed, disappeared, what do you think about it? And if the 1/3 of your products internationally is disappeared and defective, what do you think about it? And the kind of stuff is happening in the food waste, which means the 1/3 of our edible foods, which I can and we can eat, it's thrown away. So that's a thing, and the food loss and food waste and the mass, the big the problematic issues in the world. And the food waste is it's related to our consumption and our lifestyle.
Yeah, 1/3 is such an unbelievable number out there. It's quite shocking to kind of look into it. That kind of included one thing I wanted to ask, which was, what is the difference between food loss and food waste?
Okay, it's a very good question. So actually, the food loss and food waste definition that was defined in the UN 2015, I think. And the food loss, also, do you understand the food supply chain, right? From farmers to domestic sector and layer.
Yes.
And what you're doing, what you're eating, and if you waste your food, it's food waste. But food loss is until retailer. It's until they're the transport, sector, and the pharma sector from pharma sector, and the transport sector, import export, right? And there is a lot of sector inside, and then there is a retailer. And until retailer, if you do throw away the food, it's food loss. And from the sector of the retailer companies and to domestic level is the food waste. This is the difference, big difference. Yeah.
Would you say which would you say is the bigger issue, for example, in countries you've closely researched?
So my research is based on Japan, as I said a little bit ago, and food waste is also happening in developing country as well. But developing country, the why and how the food waste or food. Okay, now talk about the food waste. It's happening in developing country because they don't have enough technology and technical level. They don't have enough, for example, financial the problematic issues too, because they can achieve to the good food and qualitative and quantity. But look up your around. For example, you live in developing country, right? For example, France and in Japan, in United States, we have tons of food. We have absorbed amount of food. We have too much, and we throw away because the consumers we need cheaper foods because we don't want to pay a lot of food, right? We don't want expensive food, I'm sorry. So that's why the consumer became more ego, and since industrial revolution, and we don't look for the food, expensive food. So that's the big differences in between the food waste and happening in developing country and the food developed country.
Oh, okay.
I mean, roughly, I explained roughly.
Is your research more based on food waste or food loss?
Food waste, because tackling the food loss is very difficult because you have to change the whole system, and you also have to convince the farmers and the big companies and the mass like industrial other companies as well because they make it, right? So food waste, you and me, everyone can be consumers. Everyone can be they can go to supermarket to purchase their food, right? Like a meal. So you can change from today and tomorrow. So it's very easy to tackle and stimulate our awareness. But yeah, so that's why I called first half segment and the second half segment, and I tackle more second half segment as food waste.
Yeah. I see. Yes, it's so easy for us to kind of judge this whole food waste, food loss issue, saying why can't retailers why can't they change their mind? Why can't they see that for example, this vegetable it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, but then it is as fresh as the other produce and it's fully edible, but then when we as people who are professionals in the field, like if we see these vegetables being thrown away, I personally just I wonder why this just can't click, I wonder why we can't solve this issue in an instant. But then kind of just like you've said, and I've from my research I know that it affects the prices that the farmers receive, depending on the supply. And just
for example, food waste is a massive resource drain. Like giving an example, 25% of our water and 30% of our lands was used by the producing company to make a food, which is not eaten. Means we waste 30% water, which we can achieve, and the 20% of water and the 30% of our land we are wasting, right? So that's why tackling the food waste is changing consumer awareness, consumer behavior relates to the food loss, because the under democratic the country, for example, your voice has to be listened as a policymaker, and the policymaker has to change their rule, our own rule. So that's why to change the whole system, we have to start a small scale. That's why I start. Okay, I also understand, and I'm also ego, right? So from me, I have to change by myself, my lifestyle, and then I talk to my mom or my family and domestic level. Then I can achieve to my friends or I don't know, like other that I become, they make the system bigger and bigger. Then your friends can understand maybe. I don't know. So that's my attention and my motivation started.
That is definitely a really effective way to start off with your little inner circle and then making it grow. This was something I was interested in, but I just wanted to know what kind of first sparked your interest in food waste.
Sorry.
Experience.
I think it's I don't know. I was inspired, but I grew up with my mom who is super strict. when I can eat meals, I have to say "itadakimasu" in Japanese. It means I don't know how to say in English. Like I appreciate the food, right?
Yes.
So my mom was super strict how to use a chopstick, and if I leave even like one piece of rice, and she actually slapped on my hands like a Tatsuki, oh, you left it. It's like it means in Japan there is a expression in English, we leave one piece of rice and your eyes became worse. I mean that you can't. I don't remember very well, but like I think domestically in my home I grew up with my mom who was super strict, and then it's like the physically and the mentally I already knew it. So that's why I didn't really understand why people, especially in the big city, I went to Kyoto to study my at the graduate school, and I saw tons of people, lots of people who throw away foods without hesitating. So I was super shocked, and then I really wanted to study academically to convince the people and to talk the majority. So that's why, I have two reasons and two opportunities to learn. Yeah.
Yes, I've also, I mean, this is something personal, but then when just like you, I grew up in like a Japanese household, and then in Japan we have the expression mottainai, and like, which shows how much like we want to kind of value our resources. And it just, I guess mottainai doesn't have a translation in English, and that's why kind of food justice.
What a waste, maybe? I don't know. What a waste, but we can't really.
Yes.
The have the same meanings as
Yeah, no, it's used as a verb, but then it means what a waste. So yeah, it's a really interesting vocabulary there. But then like going to America and living there for 4.5 years in my elementary school, like just seeing everyone just waste like whole apples right in front of my eyes because no, it's too healthy for them. It really it was quite shocking, and I think definitely kind of having those personal experiences at a young age is definitely going to like motivate you to want to make change in the future. Definitely.
Yeah. But I actually I didn't know anything like academically, theoretically. It's like I just knew small, tiny, like just like weakness, for example, because I didn't study anything about like I didn't know anything of knowledge, right? So and also like I was very happy surrounded by people who has high confidence concerning food waste, who care a lot. So they don't really understand climate change or like big scale, but like small scale in my village, the people appreciate the food. So that's a big different the mindset what I learned in Europe, because in Europe we in France, for example, in France what I study, we see the data and the theory, we put the theory, and then we tackle and make a solution to tackle the issues, right? But in Japan, we have lots of cultural, like traditional witness, what we learn at home. So that's why even you're from like both people A and B from the same area, they have different parents. So they have different mindset
Yes.
Who has more time, who doesn't have a more time, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. It's a very good point. So the next question is, for what reason would you say it is important for us? I mean, not just people in general, but maybe especially adolescents, who are like the majority of our viewers. Like, I was wondering why it's important for adolescents to acknowledge the issues surrounding food waste.
For example, we are young, like you and me. I don't think I'm generation Z. I think I almost, but
Yeah.
yeah, but who cares? Yeah, but everyone goes to shopping, but we never learn how to purchase our food and how to use our money. So we don't actually open a school, but like we have to be a people and a person when become a parents to convince to understand our children the more what is a sustainable like a consuming, what is a green consumer, right? So everyone can be player, everyone can be supporter. You can't be a big player, but like you can be independent individual personal who try to make better work. So that's why in Japan we don't have enough thesis dissertation. Oh, that's the point too. In Japan, if you Google in Japanese what is food waste and food loss, their definition, their understand uh, for the food waste and food loss is totally different from its European because we don't have the same education. So that's why I really wanted to study in France, and then I wanted to harmonize Japanese culture, traditional, the witness and analogies what we have, or we had our ancestors had, and what your like European like Occidental the knowledge is big because it's very advanced compared to its ours. So I wanted to make both. I don't know, like harmonized.
Yes. It is. I can see that is what you're aiming for, and also like yeah, Japan especially. I've heard that it's the fourth greatest producer of food waste, and that is like a very it's quite shocking
Yeah.
to know that. And we, like we've discussed before, there is the existence of the word mottainai, and then we use it in our daily lives so often. Yet,
Yeah, this is a super contradiction, right? Like it's so weird, but maybe it's also different the situation and the condition concerning food in Japan and Europe. It's a sanitation level. Japan has a sanitation level and it checks super strict. For example, once you touch one, I don't know, you dropped your like a vegetable and stuff, no one touch it, right? Because it's super dirty. I don't know, and also like we also have our original best before date. It's not expired date too. So best before date, which has the best moment you have to eat, but like even the best before date expired, you can also eat. But like in Japan, people think we confuse what is the expiry date and the best before date because we have both, and it's also confusing.
Wait, so do you mean that like if we buy a product in Japan, if there's a date on it, is that's the best before date, not the best?
Almost, yeah.
Okay.
Almost. For example, like the eggs, and we can say the eggs has 2 weeks maximum the best before date.
Okay.
But in real, you can eat, especially in winter, you can eat egg 57 days after this before date if you cook. But like they throw away just only one day. It's that day the expiry, so you have to throw it because the day was on. It's too much.
Yes, no, I definitely see that. I don't think the 3-second rule exists in Japan as much as, like, for example, European countries. Like, if I go back there and I pick up something from the floor and just say 3 second rule, but I feel like I'll just scare them off. But
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Talk to your grandparents, for example. Like if I talk to grandparents, parents, they have a sustainable traditional mindset, which is not based on theory, but like they have their own the culture, the traditional, the witness who makes the people, the generation 70%, 70 years old and 80 years old. They have their own rule. I mean, like very very sustainable. No, I mean not rule like confident. I don't know, like a constant.
Yes.
And the mindset. And our generation, we learn sustainably, but like academically. So it's also different. The both sides different. The from different the origin, but like we also have the same mindset. It's weird, but it's cool.
Yeah, certainly. Like in the comment section, that people with like facial reactions every time talk about a fact. Like I think many people do agree. And finally, I wanted to ask you, just because many of our viewers are here willing to make a change, I wanted to ask you, how can we take action, especially as adolescents in our daily lives, and what kind of changes, what kind of actions can we take to tackle the food waste issue?
Firstly, you have to see what is happening in real life. For example, when I was studying, this is a very good story. Like I was talking to my grandpa when I was writing my thesis, like because he is also a farmer, and he actually told me that what you're studying theoretically is very cool, but like you never cultivate it. You never touch for him like touching vegetable and fruit means like cultivating. It's like for him I didn't cultivate, but like I was just I kept saying, oh, food waste is very bad, like farmers who produce food waste and food loss is not very cool. But like Tatsuki, you never know, you have never seen the other side, right? But like I was just talking emotionally, so that's why we have to know the other side, which you have to understand the farmer's aspect and a different point of view, because even you're talking something emotionally, it's if you talking from your side, it's not logic because you just forcing your opinion. Your even you have a lot of fact, the farmers they don't understand because they just try to protect themselves. Yeah.
So would you say what's important is the willingness to understand different perspectives of like
Understand the other side and listen to other people. And when you talk with the people like the farmers, when you have to talk emotionally maybe, but like not to tackle them, because the bad thing is not people. What is the bad is the system, whole system, which is made by the maybe I don't know, but policymaker, but which is selected by us, right? Who is selected by us? So like everyone has a responsibility, but like now we try to segment who is bad, who is good, and my justice is the okay, my justice is great, but like the other is not. So it's not very cool. It's not very logic and sustainable to segment two type of people, because everyone can listen, everyone can. We have to share our idea. Right?
Yes, no, that's a really great point, and I feel like that is something that's relatable for many people who are interested in social, environmental issues, just because, and also political issues, because it's so easy to be emotional and like when you have a passion about one kind of opinion and you want to kind of really push it through, and you see that importance through theoretical studies and like looking at data and all that, but then it just is so different once you stand in once you're in the shoes of those people who actually have to face this every day. So definitely.
It's that we have to have an emotion, and we have to talk emotionally, because if you have only logic, like you have a lot of data, it's just the mathematical, like I don't know, statistic, the data. Maybe it's very logic, but like it doesn't the tackle the heart, right? It doesn't touch you there emotionally. So that's why I, for example, I don't know, it's like if we want to take action, like I want to take action because my emotionally, like what you're saying touched my heart, for example. Like brain works logically, but like you have to I don't know, like the heart has to be beat, right? And then emotionally and logically, so we need the mathematics, we data, and we also need emotionally, I don't know, presentation, I don't know, but like we need both.
Yes. No, emotion should definitely be there, but then I guess what you're saying is to have it like in a moderate amount, so that it doesn't overpower, like, you know, the logic and everything.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe overall, what would you like our viewers to take away from this interview?
What do you mean to take away?
Like something that once people watch this interview, what would you like us to kind of move on?
If like I also wrote my dissertation, and I was focusing on purchase, like the consumers who purchase the, you know, who purchase the shopping. So I categorized the 5 sections. It's like one, the planning. Before you go to shopping, you have to plan. And secondly, you go to shopping, like you have to think about it when you're purchasing. And then when you like cook, you have to think about it. And third, and then when you eat, you have to appreciate it. And the fifth, like you maybe compost, or a lot of things, like a lot of sector that you can fix yourself, and you can look over it again to make it better. So that's why maybe the 5 categories and everyone has, and when you purchase, so maybe you look over your lifestyle and talk to other people, I don't know, to convince them. They're starting from your close friends or family.
Yes, no, that's very true. I'm sure our viewers would take away that from what you've shown us today. Thank you so much, Tatsuki, for being here, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you to our viewers. Bye.